8 rap beefs that have ruined careers. Since its birth, rap has been a competitive musical genre. Technical skill is worn like a badge by those who possess it, and those who don't are considered inferior. It is this competitive nature that has given rise to a musical entity unique to rap itself, the diss record. Diss records are songs aimed at rivals or enemies, with the intent of explaining the conflict between them, while discrediting and berating their target. Rap has had many beefs throughout its history, and a whole book could possibly be written on significant disses and their relevance to hip-hop culture. Sometimes these beefs are good-natured, friendly competition to see who can out-rap who, but sometimes the feuds are personal, and disses turn vicious and intimate. Occasionally, beefs become so far-reaching that the loser faces irreparable damage to their career. Before we get started, make sure you like the video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Number 8. Eminem vs. Everlast. Eminem has been in so many feuds he could be the sole subject of an entire video. From boy bands to rappers, Em has never been hesitant to speak his mind about those he isn't fond of. However, the beef that cemented his disses as being career-ending good was with Everlast of the hip-hop group House of Pain. Best known for their hit single Jump Around, Everlast departed from the group in 1996 to pursue a solo career. In 2000, when Eminem allegedly ignored Everlast in a hotel lobby, Everlast became angry and sent some subliminal shots at M, including using his daughter Haley's name on record. This enraged Eminem, and the two exchanged a few diss tracks, culminating in Eminem releasing Quitter Hit 'Em Up, a posse diss track that featured D12 alongside M. The diss was brutal, and Eminem was universally acknowledged as the winner of the beef, with Everlast declining to respond. Aftermath of this beef left Everlast publicly disgraced, with little to no support from the hip-hop community, as Eminem catapulted to success. Everlast's solo career was effectively over, and in 2006, he formed a supergroup with members of House of Pain. Number 7. Cardi B vs. Nicki Minaj. The limited amount of successful female rappers in the industry has always led to intimate competition and tension between the female rappers. So it's no surprise that when Cardi B seemingly came out of nowhere to dominate the rap game, previous ruler Nicki Minaj was more than a little jealous. Nicki Minaj had recently finished a beef with Remy Ma, whose comeback was not well received by the pink print rapper. What was interpreted as subliminal bars about each other were consistently dispelled by both rappers, until the 2018 New York Fashion Week, when Cardi confronted Nicki about undisclosed rumors, leading to a physical altercation. This led to the women accusing the other of trying to stop the other's bag, which ultimately resulted in Nicki releasing a piece of merchandise that contained the phrase, "Nicki stopped my bag." Cardi responded with statements explicitly aimed at Nicki on Instagram Live, accusing her of lying about the Fashion Week ordeal, before ultimately saying she would no longer participate in the beef. While this alone did not affect the woman's career, these antics combined with Nicki's recent attack on Travis Scott, Remy Ma, and Tyler the Creator positioned her in the public eye as something of a bully, insecure about her declining influence in rap. Much to her dismay, her latest studio album, Queen, has sold roughly half of her prior album, The Pink Print, and her newest single, Megatron, received mixed to negative reviews, only charting at number 20 on the Billboard Top 100. Number 6. Nas vs. Jay-Z. Perhaps the most famous rap beef of all time. The beef between Nas and Jay-Z even coined a new piece of hip-hop slang, to get ethered. Two of the most famous rappers of their generation. The two had been known for friendly competition for the title of King of New York, after the notorious B.I.G. was killed in 1996. The beginnings of the feud took root there, after Jay-Z sampled a line from Nas's The Work Is Yours, after Nas missed a recording session for a collaboration on one of Hov's tracks. The two began sending subliminal disses back and forth, and the beef gradually escalated over a period of years, even going to include Rockefeller artist Memphis Bleek. As the beef escalated, the tipping point came to the release of Jay-Z's song Take Over, which explicitly called out Nas, systematically examining and downplaying all aspects of Nas's career, street credit, and authenticity. Many speculated that there was no way Nas could craft a winning comeback, but they were wrong. In the 2001 song Ether, Nas destroys Jay, calling him out for his musical style, being out-rapped by Eminem, biting Biggie, being a womanizer, and even for being ugly. The diss took the rap game by storm, and Jay-Z responded with Super Ugly. However, the diss was considered by many to be too vulgar and offensive, specifically citing Jay-Z's claim that he had an affair with Nas's then-girlfriend Carmen Bryan. Even Hov's mom called the radio station Hot 97 and implored him to apologize apologize, which he later did. The beef continued with Subliminal for years after, but Ether was remembered and widely regarded as the most important diss track ever. And while Jay-Z was clearly able to recover, becoming rap's first billionaire, it was his first major public L, and accusations of Jay being a misogynist followed him for years. Imagine your own mother calling you out during the biggest fight of your life. It's pretty embarrassing. Number 5, XXXTentacion vs. Trippie Redd. The feud between XXXTentacion and Trippie Redd is the only beef on this list to haunt the artist after the other's passing. The duo rose to prominence together as faces of the SoundCloud-era rappers in late 2016, along with Ski Mask Slump God. Well known for their on-again, off-again friendship, it seemed as if Trippie and X were always feuding. Disputes varied in subject matter, usually with Trippie accusing XXXTentacion of something. Allegations include X stole his musical style, X was jealous of his relationship with Drake, and most questionably, backing Ski's claim that X once tried to summon a demon to sacrifice him. After X's untimely death, Trippie took to social media to mourn the loss of his friend, but many fans were displeased. Trippie faced backlash, with critics arguing that he was using the death of XXXTentacion for clout. What do you guys think? Does Trippie really miss X, or is he looking for sympathy? Number 4, Frank Ocean vs. Chris Brown. If you think about violent musicians, Frank Ocean probably isn't at the top of your list. However, his beef with Chris Brown is one of the only ones on this list that actually resulted in coming to blows. In 2013, Ocean and Brown allegedly got into an argument over a parking spot outside of an LA recording studio. When Brown tried to defuse the situation by shaking Frank's hand, Frank refused. Angered, Brown allegedly punched Frank in the face, causing both entourages to erupt into a brawl. Brown's crew was also accused of using homophobic speech and threatened to shoot Ocean. Criminal charges were began and ultimately dropped by Frank, but public support for Ocean was overwhelming. Only a few years after his savage attack on Rihanna, Brown was still under public scrutiny for his volatile behavior. This attack helped cement Chris Brown's negative perception in the public eye, and ultimately was a major factor in Brown's camp, forcing him to attend rehab in early 2014. Brown has faced recurring legal troubles since this incident, but remains active in the industry. Number 3, Pusha T vs. Drake. The feud between Pusha T and Drake has been going on for so long that it could be the subject of its own documentary. But it entered the mainstream attention in 2018, when a subliminal bar about ghostwriters on Pusha's Daytona targeted Drake. Fed up, Drake released the Duppy Freestyle, which called Pusha's drug dealing past into question, and even took shots at Kanye West. This inspired Pusha T to finally leave behind subliminal bars for something more explicit. He released The Story of Adidon, a scathing diss that, amongst other things, had a cover art of Drake in blackface, revealed the existence of Drake's son Adonis, and took aim at producer Noah 40 Shabib's medical issues. The diss was widely believed to be a definitive victory for Pusha over Drake, and Drake never explicitly responded. Instead, he refused to continue the beef, at the behest of label boss Jay Prince. While this beef did not affect Drake's status as the world's most successful rapper, it did sabotage an in-the-works Adidas sponsorship, and forced him to redo many aspects of his 2018 album Scorpion. In 2019, in an interview with Rap Radar, Drake acknowledges that the beef, quote, warranted my first quote-unquote loss in the competitive sport of rapping. Number 2, Jay-Z vs. Kanye West. In 2011, Kanye West and Jay-Z released Watch the Throne, a powerhouse collaborative LP. The record spawned hits like Otis, helped launch careers like Frank Ocean, and created a blueprint for collaborative hip-hop albums that has been followed by everyone, including Drake and Future. But the duo's big brother-little brother dynamic does not come with strife. In 2016, amidst the launch of a messy rollout for his album The Life of Pablo, Kanye called Jay-Z out on stage twice. The first time, he called out his friend and label boss for not checking up on the West family after Kim Kardashian's infamous robbery in Paris. The second time involved a worrying implication that Jay-Z was out to have him harmed by sending, quote, killers at his head. West's erratic behavior and some subliminal lines on Jay's 444 was enough to cause Kanye to relinquish his ownership stake at Tidal Streaming, leaving the public to speculate that the two had severed ties completely. The feud went silent for almost 2 years, but West's antics did not. West would go on to publicly support for Donald Donald Trump, implying the systemic enslaving of Africans was a choice, and admitted he'd ceased taking bipolar medication. This, contextualized with his feud against Jay-Z as a backdrop, led critics to assert West was in the middle of a highly public mental breakdown. The feud led to Jay-Z and Drake, who were notoriously on rocky terms, reunite for the track Talk Up on Drake's Scorpion album. This track marks their first collaboration since verses by Kanye and Jay-Z were mysteriously removed from Jake's track Pop Style on his 2016 album Views. Meanwhile, West's public support continued to fall, and this manifested tangibly when the artist received the worst reviews of his career for his latest full-length LP, Jesus is King. Luckily for all of you Watch the Throne fans, it seems like Ye and Jay have reconciled. In 2018, the duo both confirmed they were back on good terms and working together. While we may never get a Watch the Throne 2, we can hope we won't get any more on-stage rants from Kanye either. Number 1. Drake vs. Meek Mill. No rap beef in recent memory was as destructive to everyone involved as Drake's beef with Meek Mill. In July of 2015, Meek Mill was irritated that Drake did not do enough promotion for Mill's album, Dreams Worth More Than Money. Despite the two collaborating on the album's hit song Rico, Meek retaliated by tweeting that Jake used a ghostwriter, and the accusations spread like wildfire. Combined with newly surfaced reference tracks by Quentin Miller from Drake's If You're Reading This, It's Too Late album, critics used this claim to discredit Drake's status as a real rapper. On July 25th, Drake released a diss record aimed at Meek called Charged Up. The diss was met with lukewarm reception by critics and fans, but the possibility of a beef on wax was enough to excite all of hip-hop. 2 days passed, and Meek Mill failed to respond to the diss. Instead, Drake shocked the audiences by dropping another, much more vicious diss called Back to Back. This record was met with widespread acclaim, and the world eagerly awaited Meek's response. That response came 3 days later with Wanna Know. Rappers and fans everywhere agreed that the diss was not strong enough to follow up to Back to Back, which later became the first diss record to win a Grammy. The diss record stopped there, but the two continued to throw subliminals at one another for quite some time. The ramifications were obvious and far-reaching. For Drake, even today he cannot fully evade the accusation and suspicions of a ghostwriter. And for Meek, losing to an artist widely considered softer permanently dented his street cred. Luckily, the two have since reconciled and even released another hit, Going Bad. So which beef do you think was the most damaging? Let me know in the comments. And before you leave, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel.